Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
What's up, LumioseStation, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. Last week I covered Articuno, one of the bird trio from the Kanto region, and I told you guys this week I'd be joined by a special guest. Another of the conductors on LumioseStation. We have TheHeatedMo joining us today, so he'll be here a bit later on to cover sort of the sets and such, but for the moment I'm going to cover today's Pokemon, which is Jirachi. Not necessarily Mo's mascot, but a Pokemon Mo does use quite a lot because he is, as we all know, the Hacks God. But first, before we get into that, we need to have a vote for next week's Pokemon. So, what have we got? The two Pokemon we have to choose from today are, because next week is going to be a Mega Evolution, we have Mega Tyranitar and Mega Aggron. Two Rock type, not pure Rock, but you guys get there. Both have Rock as part of their type. Two Rock type Mega Evolutions. Which one do you want to see, guys? If you want to see Mega Tyranitar covered next week, comment down below with the word Tyranitar. If you want to see Aggron covered next week, comment down below with the word Aggron. But do that quickly now. But for now, let's get on to look at Jirachi. So Jirachi, it is a Steel Psychic type Pokemon, a legendary from the Hoenn region, and it is the Wish Pokemon coming at number 385 in the National Pokédex. Its dimensions, I don't want to say it's tall because it's not like so tall because it doesn't really have like a height, I guess, but its size is 1 foot or 0.3 meters, so it's a fairly small Pokemon. It's not this huge legendary you might imagine, which is you wouldn't because it's Jirachi, and it weighs 2.4 pounds or 1.1 kilograms. It's actually very light as well. Very light, but also very powerful. Breeding and gender-wise, it is in the undiscovered egg group because obviously it's legendary, it can't breed, and it is genderless because, well, so again, it's a legendary, it doesn't have a gender, so that's Jirachi for you there. Evolution-wise, being legendary as well, doesn't evolve from or into anything, so Jirachi is fairly basic. Now, base stats. Jirachi is one of those Pokemon, there's one each generation I believe, which has 100 base stats all across the board. So it's got 100 health points, 100 attack, 100 defense, etc. 100 is pretty good, to be honest. 100, you can't complain about it. It's not amazing, but 100, it's sort of a baseline, I guess. And it has 100 in anything, so it doesn't have a very bad defensive stat, doesn't have a bad offensive stat, doesn't really have a bad speed stat, so it can be used speedily, it can be used offensively, it can be used defensively. Obviously sometimes the base 100s, the typing will help you be more defensive. What moves it has access to will help you be more offensive. We'll look at those more later on in terms of the sets, but 100 over the board is not too bad at all. You can't really complain about that and ask for anything to be higher or lower. So yeah. Ability wise for Jirachi, there's only one ability available, which is Serene Grace, which boosts the likelihood of additional effects occurring, which is where all the hacksy stuff comes in with Mo. So basically that means if this move has a chance to paralyze, it has a bigger chance of paralyzing than if another Pokemon used it, for example. So you're more likely to paralyze the opponent, you're more likely to get them confused, more likely to make them flinch, whatever the additional effect of the move might be. It's boosted basically, which is pretty good if you want to be a bit annoying and just use it and just annoy your opponents, as Mo will explain later on, I'm sure. But that is pretty much Jirachi. It's your basic look over it. So let's have a look at its typing now. Steel Psychic type, which is the same as Metagross, so that gives you some sort of idea of how might work, I guess. Resistances, it resists all these types, which 9, I think, yes, 9 types. Normal, grass, fly, rock, psychic, ice, dragon, steel, and fairy. That's a hell of a lot of types. So, again, straight off the bat, you can't really complain there. It's weak to 4 types, which are fire, ground, ghost, and dark. So, they're fairly common, but they're not overly common, I guess. And it's immune to 1 type, which is poison. So again, that's another type you can sort of have reduced or no damage from. And it takes neutral from 4 last types, which are water, electric, fighting, and bug. So out of the possible, do some maths here, out of 18 types, it takes reduced damage or no damage from 10 of them, which is pretty darn good. It's only weak to 4. Yeah, I can't complain there. You can't complain with a Steel Psychic type. It did work better back in Generation 5. I think it was in Gen 5, when Steel actually resisted Ghost and Dark, which means your only 2 weaknesses were Fire and Ground. Darn, that's pretty good. But unfortunately, that's not the case now. We have 4 weaknesses, but still, Steel Psychic is a brilliant type. Again, nothing really you can complain about there, so Jirachi's looking good so far. Then if we look at the highlighted moves and see what sort of move pool Jirachi has at its disposal, I suppose, we can see what we can sort of use it for in the sets when Mo shows us. So first up, at level 35, Jirachi can learn Zen Headbutt. Now this is a physical psychic type move. Basically Jirachi is used physically. It does have some special moves it could use. You could run a special Jirachi, but generally it's used physically because of the extra effects you can get on the moves that, you know, obviously are available in your physical move pool. For example, Zen Headbutt has a chance to flinch the opponent with Serene Grace. That's boosted, so you can, if you're fast enough obviously, Zen Headbutt, do some damage, make him flinch possibly. And just keep spamming that and they won't be able to attack you basically. So that's where Zen Headbutt comes in. It's one of your stabs as well. It's not used too often though, but it is very viable, I would say at least. Then we have TheHeatedMo 6 Toxic. If you want to run a defensive Jirachi and sort of just be stally and stuff like that, Toxic can help out, because obviously if you're running defensive stuff, you're not going to be building offensive stats. You're not going to be putting your EVs in there. Your nature isn't going to be increasing your physical attack. So Toxic is going to help there to sort of work the opponent's health down, especially if you're just tanking it up and just lasting it out, I guess. That's Toxic, I don't need to explain that. Then TM89, we have U-Turn, another physical move here. Everyone knows about U-Turn. You do some damage to the opponent and then jump back into the party, so it can be useful in some cases where it's like, oh no, I don't want to be here anymore. U-Turn and back to safety basically. Then via a heart scale, so it's not learned by level up, but a heart scale whenever you want, we have Wish, which would make sense because Jirachi is the Wish Pokemon, and obviously Wish is just going to wish up and then you're going to get half your health points back after the next turn basically. So that's where a defensive set comes in there, because you just keep wishing and taking moves because of all your good resistances, and just rinse repeat really, and use Wish as your health point restoration method there. Then we have loads of tutor moves here. Loads of tutor moves. We have first up Fire Punch. Don't ask me if Jirachi's too much of a puncher. It has hands I suppose, but I mean, looking at its size, it's not going to be a very powerful punch, but that's besides the point. It can learn Fire Punch via tutor move, via a tutor move example. Fire Punch, you know, is a fire type move. Looking at what you're weak to specifically, Fire, Ground, Ghost, Dark. Fire doesn't have anything particularly against that. It's just a good coverage move that you might not be able to hit with Steel or Psychic type moves, just because of certain resistances. So Fire Punch is viable. Then we have another punch move, which is Ice Punch, again via tutoring. Obviously an Ice type instead. Again, looking at what he says, you're weak to the ground type. Ice is super effective against ground, so that's straight up there as a helpful sort of extra bit. And generally Ice is better because Ice has a chance to freeze the opponent. And you have increased chance with Serene Grace. Boom! You can try and freeze your opponent basically. Fire Punch could work because obviously I'm pretty sure Fire Punch has a chance to burn the opponent, so you could get some burns off. But if it's a special attacker, the burn's going to do basically nothing. Whereas if you had Ice Punch and you got the freeze instead, they can't do anything at all. And the same with a physical attack. Even if a physical attack got burnt, their effectiveness is going to be muchly reduced. Is that a word? I don't know. Anyway, their effectiveness would be reduced at least. But with an Ice Punch, it would be reduced completely because they'd be frozen, and then hopefully you'll be able to have just take them out before they unthaw basically. So that's basically where you might want to choose Ice Punch over Fire Punch. Then next up is probably the move Jirachi is known best for, Iron Head. Again, getting some stab off the Steel type move there, which obviously Steel having the super effectiveness against Fairy types is going to help you out with this, the new Fairy type in Generation 6, as well as obviously other types as well. But Iron Head has the chance, I believe, to flinch, much like Zen Headbutt did, so there's not too much of a difference there, but the difference is obviously the typing. But Iron Head, yeah, 30% chance to flinch, increased by Serene Grace, obviously, to make you a bit more powerful there. So that's sort of the move you want to spam, as long as it's going to do decent damage, really, because you're just going to spam, flinch, and just keep going. Just keep going like that. Another tutor move we have here is not an offensive move, it is a status move, which is Stealth Rock. Again, if you're going defensive, you could run Stealth Rock on your Jirachi, because, if you're going defensive, all you really need is, like, Wish, maybe Protect, attacking move, maybe Toxic, or maybe Stealth Rock, because Stealth Rock's going to help. You can go in first, set up Stealth Rock, take a bit of damage, and then switch back out and come back in later if they happen to clear it, but Stealth Rock, viable, I guess, just straight up there, viable. And then the final move we have here is Trick. Now, what this does, I'm pretty sure you already know, but I'll explain anyway, is switches your item with the opponents. So if you're holding a leftovers and they're holding a Macho Brace, don't ask me what would be Macho Brace, that's all I can think of. If you use Trick, you get the Macho Brace and they get the leftovers. Now what might this be useful in? Well, if you're using a choiced item, you could send the choice item to them and boom. You know, they're stuck with a choice item, they're stuck with one move, and then you get whatever item they have. But obviously, it might depend. It's very situational dependent now whether you actually want to use Trick, but I'm sure Mo might talk about that a bit more later on when he looks at a set involving Trick. Then finally, one last move, which is actually a transfer move, which you can only get if you transfer the Jirachi from Generation 5, is Body Slam, which is a normal type move, physical again, fairly powerful. Body Slam has a chance to paralyze the opponent, so what your sort of idea would be here is go in, Body Slam the opponent, get the paralysis off as soon as possible, and then switch to Iron Head, so they're paralyzed. They get through the paralysis, but then they're flinched because of the Iron Head. So it's all that. They have to get through the paralysis and then get past the flinch, which is where Jirachi gets really annoying. So yeah, those two moves you can use in Jirachi. A good sort of a mix, I guess. One level up, couple TMs, and then loads of shooting moves. So not really a good mix, but you guys get the idea. And then one transfer action. I don't see transfer moves too often, but that is indeed one here. But I am now going to hand off to Mo, who is going to take us through the sets he has for us. So, take it away, Mr. Hackstone.
Alrighty, so I've got not one, but two Jirachi sets for you guys, and you guys are gonna love them. And if you know anything about me, you know I love me some Jirachi sets, and you know that my sets are pretty fun to use if you have no heart. So this first set, I'd like to nickname Versace, because that's the nickname of every set of Jirachi that I use. But I'm going to nickname this one specifically because this is the one that I use all the time. The nature I went for was Jolly, Eevee's 252 attack, 252 speed, and 6 HP to live those shadowest balls and flamest flamethrowers and all those, you know, super effective moves it can't take. Item, Choice Scarf, Move, Iron Head, Ice Punch, U-Turn, Trick, moves, sorry. Ability, Serene Grace, since it doesn't get any other abilities. Now let's go through this one by one. So why did I choose the Jolly Nature? The Jolly Nature is because Jirachi has got 100 base speed, and when we pair with Choice Scarf, it can outspeed anything that has 100 base speed or below and is Choice Scarf. So, you know, more chances to flinch, and I don't want to kill something too soon. I want to be able to torture it with the Iron Heads. You know, just simple stuff. Why did I go for 252 attack, 252 speed? I want to be able to do some damage, so 252 attack is great, especially with 100 base attack. It's not terrible. Especially if you're going up against something that can take Iron Head, or it can take physical moves. 252 attack is great. 252 speed, of course, to max out the speed as match as much as possible. 6 HP, like I said, to live out the shadowest balls and the flamest flamethrowers. And the item Choice Scarf, like I said, pair to outspeed things. Now, let's go over the moves. We got Iron Head here. Iron Head has got a 30% chance to flinch. It's awesome. It's a steel type. It's stab. And it's also one of my famous, not even famousest things, but it's one of my most favorite things. It's just flinching things. And Iron Head does have a chance to flinch. We also got Ice Punch, which I don't use very much, but like I said, you can turn this into a serious set. Actually, I didn't say that yet, so yeah, you could turn this into a serious set. So if you take Ice Punch is fun to use because, you know, it's got the chance to freeze. But on top of that, you know, you could take out Dragon Flying types, Dragon types, Flying types, Ground types, Rock types. You could take out a whole arsenal. So you could use this as serious as you want. You got U-Turn to get the hell out of there if you ever need to get out. And then you also got Trick, just in case, you know, you're burned and you don't want to get stuck on the Choice Scarf, so you switch it out and then you Ice Punch, U-Turn, whatever. You can make some use of it, or you can Trick right away so that you can get rid of Choice Band on something. And maybe that might not be the smartest choice, but Trick's there as an option to get rid of the Choice Scarf. And also, Serene Grace is also the, you know, increase the effects of each secondary effect, so Iron Head gets an increased chance to flinch, Ice Punch gets an increased chance to flinch, and it's awesome to freaking use. This is my favorite set, and like I said, I nicknamed it Versace, so there you go. I got another set for you, by the way, and this one you're gonna love. Alright, so I like to call this set a little bit more of a try-hard set. To be honest, it's a good set, don't get me wrong. It's just more of something I wouldn't use because it's more of a utility Pokemon. I don't know what I would formally call this Jirachi or what I would nickname it, so nickname it whatever you want. Honestly, I don't know. I only use one Jirachi set, but I've used this in the past. So this Jirachi set is a little bit more interesting. It's got the item leftovers, it's got the Nature Careful, it's got the EV's 252 HP, 176 special defense, and 80 speed. The move, 1, Stealth Rock, Iron Head, U-turn, and Body Slam. Now, let's go over this set in depth. So, why did I choose the Nature Careful? Well, Careful increases, I'm pretty sure, the special defense. If I'm not mistaken, it increases the special defense, lowers the special attack. We don't have any special attack moves, so that's perfect. The reason why we have more special defense is so we can take those flaming fire attacks and those shadow balls, you know, those pesky attacks from Megazard, Y, from special attackers in OU, all of that kind of stuff, because I'm pretty sure it's an OU Pokemon, if I'm not mistaken. If not, it's UU. And yeah, I just want to be able to take hits. With that nature, it's paired up with 252 HP, 176 special defense, so it can take hits and still do decent amount of damage. And it's got 80 speed. Now, Stealth Rock is there, so you can set up some rocks, set up some hazards. Then you got Iron Head, of course, for the damage, but it also has a chance to flinch, obviously. But with it being this slow, with it being slower than usual without the Choice Scarf, you're only using this to get damage off, unless, of course, you get the Body Slam Paralysis. Now, I think that's the reason why Body Slam was specifically chosen for the set, because this isn't particularly my set. It's more of like a set that's been around forever. And Body Slam does have a chance to paralyze, which is good, because then you can pair it to Iron Head. It could, you know, screw over a lot of Choice Scarf Mons, and it's awesome. Honestly, this set is really awesome to use, like I said, and it's also got U-turn to get the hell out of there if it needs to. It's an awesome set. I've said awesome like 400 times, but it's a great set. And it does have its backdraws, of course, with it being try-hard, and I'll never use it. But this is a set that you would probably use over the Choice Scarf set, unless you really need a Choice Scarf attacker, which Jirachi isn't really one that you should use to base yourself off chance, because sometimes I get screwed over because I try to use Choice Scarf Iron Head and see how many flinches I get, and then it's dead. One Fire Blast. Or this one can take a Fire Blast and live. Maybe not a knockoff, though. Knockoff pretty much sends this Pokemon to hell. Let's be real. But those are the two sets that I am comfortable with giving you guys, and those are the ones I've used in the past. So yeah. I'm going to give it to you, Matt. I'm going to give it to you.
So, thank you to Mo there for covering the sets for us. Obviously, we're going to have some more mascot episodes in the future, so other conductors will come on and join me, and they'll go over their Pokemon and stuff like that. Hopefully you guys like that. If you did, be sure to hit the like button down below, and let me know as well if you like sort of the format of this episode. Did you like saying Mo? Is it nice hearing someone else's voice apart from just my own, because it is just my own and it goes on and on. But yeah, let me know down below. And of course, remember to vote for next episode as well. Do you want to see Tyranitar or do you want to see Aggron covered in next week's episode? Do you want to see a big bulky Mega Tyranitar or a big bulky Mega Aggron? Very similar Pokemon, but which one do you want to see? Let me know down below and I'll be covered in next week's episode. But for now, I hope you enjoyed watching this episode of the Pokemon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral, and of course TheHeatedMo. But for now, I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.